Ning. I hope you can all hear me. Maybe somebody can tell me if they can hear me or not. This is the first time I'm doing a broadcast, so excuse me if I'm a little nervous. I joined at TBC the end of April 2017 and have watched my wallet grow at a phenomenal rate, faster than any other investment could ever grow. Then in September 2017, admin offered us the most phenomenal promotion to increase our TBC. This offer is still standing, but we did have our first opportunity to redeem our cookies in January this year. And now we have yet another opportunity to redeem further cookies again in the whole month of May this year. In January, when I redeemed my cookies, I received 11 full TBC into my wallet. And this set me thinking about what I would do with my money. And then an idea came to me, and I believe that this is a task that has been given to me by the Lord. First of all, I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself, and then you'll understand my feelings about something that I feel has been given to me to do. I grew up in the southeastern Free State, a little town called Zaastron. My parents were farmers. So I grew up on a farm and I went to a farm school for the first 6 years of my life, of my school life, that is. But it was during the Second World War. And I remember I was about 6 years old, probably about 1941, round about there, that they were going to have a bioscope. Now, remember, in those days we knew it as a bioscope. There were no movies or videos or anything like that. It was a bioscope we went to, and we still worked with the reel where the reel was a huge big reel. The tape was a huge big reel, and it was heads, and it threw the screen onto a big screen in front of us, and we could watch our bioscope. But this particular bioscope was about the war, and I remember very clearly, still to this day. There was a nurse there. She must have been a Red Cross nurse because she had her veil tied the way the Red Cross tie their veils. And she was running, it was a battlefield, and the soldiers were being shot down and either wounded or killed and so on. And she was running with her little bag of goodies from soldier to soldier. Wherever she got to one that she could bandage or give some relief, she would give them, and give them some water to drink and that sort of thing, And this must have made a tremendous impression on me, just a little girl of 6 years old. And I knew then that what I wanted to do when I was grown up was to go nursing and to become a nurse. The minute my parents heard about this, they were horrified. Oh, but it's such a difficult job. You work like mad and you're paid so little. You really could do better by just rather going to become a secretary and work in an office. But I never wavered with that. I always had said, when I grow up, I'm going to be a nurse, even to the extent, in order to not have to face my parents with all their objections and so on. I was 15 years old. I was at boarding school at Unisi in Bloemfontein. And I actually applied to the matron at Kritske Hospital to start my nursing career when I finished my matric 2 years later. So I got all the forms. They replied to me. They were very good. Replied to me, and I got all the forms. There was one thing I had to have done, which I had to speak to my parents about I needed a medical examination by a doctor. I didn't know in those days the doctors and the nurses gave their services free of charge to all their colleagues. And so I thought I'd have to pay for it. So I had to go and tell my parents that I have to go and have a medical examination because I've been accepted as a nurse at Trutske Hospital when I finished my matric. So I went and had the medical exam and then found out that I didn't have to pay for it at all. Um, so I, I must say this. I saw this as a calling. Looking back on those days, they were for about 4.5 years. They were the happiest days I've ever known in my life. Nothing has ever surpassed them. I loved it. I loved nursing my patients, and I actually gained the a nickname from my patients because we were working in we did 3 months in a medical ward in each medical and surgical, so that we got to know all the different conditions and so on. And so you got to know your patients because in those days there were no antibiotics really, and we so the patients remained in in that ward for quite a long time. And the next thing I found, they were all calling me Nurse Sunshine. And I was no longer Nurse Higgs, I was Nurse Sunshine. So it meant a lot to me because my patients were everything to me. But I believed in those days, we called it a calling. I believed that that was a calling for me to be a nurse. You don't get that much today, I don't think. Now that'll have understand why I've got this. I normally go walking, we go for a long walk and a bit of a trot um, in the mornings before breakfast, about 5 mornings a week. And hello, the friendly marketer. Um, I go there. I'm so glad you can hear me. I go there about for a walk about 5 days a week, and that's when I can have my quiet time because nobody worries me while I'm walking. And my thoughts go, and my thoughts wandered to what am I going to do with all this TBC that I'll be getting? Because it's a lot of money. I mean, I live in South Africa, and uh, even just one TBC is a billion euros when we reach the ultimate goal. And one TBC, the rands that we use in South Africa is this euro is equal to uh, about 14 to 15 rands in 1 euro. So imagine a billion euros would be equal to about 14 or 15 billion rands. So it's a lot of money, and one's got to think carefully of what you want to do with it, really. And at the time, also in South Africa, we were very, very severely hit with um, incidences of HIV and AIDS. And until about 2009, there was no treatment available for people with that disease. And they died from fears. They have now brought in treatment and things are better. But I looked in Google a few days ago, I Googled orphans in South Africa, and there are still many, many, many orphans in South Africa. And I thought, why don't I do something for them? Because in these cases, uh, the task of caring for these orphans, if there is a granny, the task will fall on the granny. But if there's no granny either, then the task is going to fall on uh, um, on the eldest of the siblings, and invariably that eldest sibling is still at school, which means that that person has to leave school in order to try and raise money to support his or her younger siblings. It's a very sad case, and they in those conditions, the worst of all is their living conditions. They'll be living in a shack or even in the open and with not enough food to eat, not enough blankets, wet, cold, and rain. So I got this idea that I should build homes because the idea that came into my mind was build homes for orphans. Use that money to build homes. And I thought about it and I thought about it and it started building up in my mind. And I thought to myself, well, now this is my vision. My vision is to once I've put aside enough money for my immediate family to use, then I could use the remainder of that money to build homes for orphan children. And then I'd also have to put money aside for them to live on. Now, I do know from years ago, I know that the Methodist Church of South Africa had a certain type of unique orphanage, you could call it. They built homes and they had a mother and a father um, in charge of the home, and then they had the children in the home, and they were treated as normal family. And I thought, but this thing, I don't know if these homes by the Methodist Church are still going. I really don't know. I have no idea. Maybe somebody who lives area um, will be able to uh, um, see me. Tell me about it. But I knew about this that's going on. I thought, well, now that's a good idea. If I build a complex of homes, sort of buy a large piece of ground, get uh, one of these development people and get them to build, say, 5 homes in a complex. And um, each home could be headed by a mother and father, or if there's a granny available, fine. But uh, as far as possible, each home would have to have a minimum of 3 bedrooms and not small bedrooms either, large ones, preferably more, preferably 4 bedrooms. Um, and then the parents, the adoptive parents, could live in the 1 bedroom and they could have an ensuite bathroom. And then with the other rooms, the one could be for the girls and one could be for the boys. That's why I say they can't be tiny little rooms, they must be big rooms. And 2 bathrooms, one for the boys and one for the girls, and then a lounge, a dining room, and perhaps another room where the children can go and sit and do their homework. There's so much to think about. I mean, I could go on and on and on about that. Um, and I thought of if I build a cluster of homes like that, I would call them Sheila's the Billion Coin Homes. And you could put TBC in brackets. And then say Johannesburg or Pretoria or so. Um, I'm thinking that once I've completed one cluster of homes, I'd have a very good idea what my expenses would be. And then I could plan better about what to do. I'm going to have to speak to some financiers and um, people in the know about that sort of thing so that I can get ideas from them as well. But my idea is to build a home in Pretoria and Johannesburg. That will take care of Gauteng. Then one in Durban, in the Cape, either East London or Port Elizabeth, one of the two. They're very close to each other, so I could build a home in either of them, or maybe in each of them, and then Cape Town and Bloemfontein. Now that would take care of, I think, four different uh, um, mm, provinces, but there are 9 provinces in South Africa. So I would still, if whatever money's left, I would then put a home in each province, at least the main cities uh, in the province. Um, this these when you think about it, these homes would have to be fully furnished with furniture, linen, cutlery, crockery. The children must be fully clothed with all their toiletries, and they need school uniforms, school and casual clothes to wear, and probably a few computers because nowadays they do a lot of work on computers. Um, there must be funds for the adoptive parents because although they're getting free board and lodging, as it were, they have a very important job to do to look after these children and um, to see that there's enough food for them and all that sort of thing, and to report what they're needing and if they're ill, anything like that. Um, it's really quite a big thing that has to be done. I can go on and on about this with forever. They need transport to get to the schools, and I was thinking of perhaps getting a mini bus. But I don't just want the Toyota or the cheaper buses. I I would rather prefer to get a decent make, like a Merc or something like that, that won't be breaking down often and so on. I will consult and get more advice about that. But I was thinking of getting one that would take about 20 people, and then the parents can take turns to drive it and drop the children at their schools and pick them up again and take them to wherever they need to go and that sort of thing. I'm, as you will imagine, this project is going to take a huge amount of money, and so I'm planning to bring in at least 100 TBC, 100 referrals every month for the next few months. So that if I do that for the next 3 months, I should have enough, more than enough TBC when once it reaches the billion euro level. Um, Now, I would be very, very happy if somebody, uh, um, people, especially people from South Africa who know the conditions here, could contact me. You will find my uh, uh, email address, which is Sheila, spelled Sheilah, M for Mitchell, business. So it's Sheila M business, BUSINESS, @gmail.com. Um, or you can contact me in perhaps in on Facebook, where you'll find me my name in Facebook after you've got the www.facebook.com is Sheila.Mitchell 52. And I would be so glad if people could contact me and just give me their point of view. Do you think this is a viable project, or do you think it's pie in the sky? I don't know. But I just know that this is in my head, that this is what I must do. And just as when I was a little girl, I knew that I had to go nursing. So this is something that I just feel I must do. I'm not a youngster anymore. I don't mind telling you I'm 83. Probably one of the oldest around, but never mind. So I must, the other thing I must do is I must speak to financiers and do some financial planning. I'll have to make arrangements that this whole project is handled by some financial organization, perhaps what's this find send button? Oh, sorry, I'm seeing the wrong thing. Find some organization. I was thinking either perhaps a church, but not these happy clappy ones because they just come and go, and I can't trust them. But an established church. I'm a Protestant, so I would look at either the Anglican church, the Presbyterian church, or perhaps a Methodist church to keep an eye on, to handle everything. I'd need somebody when I'm not here anymore and I've gone to go and live with my Lord, that there's somebody who is going to carry this thing on. And I'll have to do a lot of research about that. But I do firmly believe that what TBC have promised us will happen. We will be needing, at least I will be needing, some sort of cash, ready cash, to buy for the adoptive parents to buy fruit and vegetable, everyday things. Perhaps to give the children a bit of pocket money and that sort of thing. I want this to be treated as a home. They must go into a home as I knew a home. I would like them to be able to grow up there. And I really want to thank TBC for what they are doing. And before I could not even imagine tackling a project like this. But TBC is making it possible for this to happen. And I firmly believe that TBC will always be there, not only for me, but for all of us. And I want to just put out a great thank you, TBC. And with that, and hoping that uh, people would, people in South Africa especially, I welcome people from other countries giving me advice, but I'm especially want South Africans to contact me because they know the conditions and they know what's needed here. Thank you very much for listening to me. Goodbye. I'll see you again.